I manage over 800 units, and some days I genuinely hate this business. I'm tired, I'm mentally drained, and some days I just want to shut down the entire property management operation. In today's videos, I'm going to share with you the worst moments from scaling 20 units all the way to 800 units. And the last one literally almost ended the business, but was also the main reason why I kept in it. Probably not what you think, but it's the reason why I'm still here. Let's start with the first one. Okay, first thing first, everyone feels like you're not doing anything. Okay, and this is one thing that bothers me the most is that with tenants and landlords with a rental property, sometimes things breaks. Sometimes people have arguments, sometimes there's a coordination, or sometimes it's the asset management stuff, how to try to increase the performance of the buildings so that the landlords can get a higher appraised value. Because again, that's the main reason why they invest in real estate. You're not getting appreciated for all the work that's been completed and done successfully. Those seems to be invisible. But when it comes to something that breaks, landlords feels like, hey, how come you suggested this vendor? How come you didn't do certain things? Or the tenants might feel like you're just being cheap. You're trying to save money and then it's affecting my life with my family or my time with my family. And those are the stuff that is really, really hard to explain to anybody that, hey, guys, we're just the middleman. We're the property manager. We're looking after the property, but it doesn't always go the way that all parties wanted to go. And I also remember when I first started, there was a few times where the landlords literally said to you that, why am I paying the management fee for? Right? Why am I paying you to manage my property? I'm just like, are you kidding me? There's so many things that went right that you didn't take into consideration. Just one thing that didn't go well, and then you're questioning about whether or not the monthly fee is worth it. $150, $200, or $300 per month is not a lot of money to be able to demand other people's time like this. So this was a hard thing for me to reconcile at the early stage of this business. It's just like, it feels like time is not being respected. And we're doing a lot of dirty work that people are not showing the appreciation for. And that leads to number two, which is sometimes you're getting criticized for things that's not really your fault. Okay, giving you an example is that maybe there's a main drain that gets clogged and you need to hire someone to unclog the main drain basically. In this situation, if it's in the evening, at 8 p.m. the water started backing up and you really just need to stop the water. A lot of times tenants continue using the water upstairs and the water just keep coming back. Or you found a vendor who says that they can go to the site immediately and they didn't end up showing up until the next morning. These are the stuff that's not controlled by a property manager. But the landlords will look at you and say, hey, how come you didn't address it ASAP? Or why did you select certain vendors that didn't actually keep up their words? And all of a sudden you're getting all the blame. And I get that it's an emergency, you end up creating maybe extensive damage to the flooring and all that stuff. But again, it's just not within the property manager's control for other people's schedule. And the tenants in that kind of situation will always be talking to you, blowing up your phone and try to apply as much pressure as possible to get the issues fixed. So with that kind of situation, you just feel like nobody's on your side, nobody's trying to understand your position, and you're in the middle of everything. You're trying to absorb all the conflicts, and this is also why property management is such a mentally draining business overall. And the third one that was also a mental blockage for me is that you're doing a lot of collection calls for the money that doesn't belong to yours. Chasing tenants' rent. For 5 to 10 units is very easy, but the moment that you started having like 100, 200 units, you're definitely going to have some units, some tenants that are trying to push the boundary. Or in some cases it will be professional tenants. And those type of tenants and relationships are actually very toxic because they're actually doing it on purpose. And your landlord clients who are paying you is saying that, hey, you need to collect those payments, otherwise I won't be able to afford you or pay for your property management fee. This, I remember at a certain point, really bothered me because I'm doing all the work. It's 100% heavy lifting for the rental properties. And if I don't get to collect it, there's zero income for me at the end of the month. And if I get to collect something, do all the heavy lifting, I'm only getting paid about 8 to 10% of monthly management fee. So to me, this was something that I really had to make a mental adjustment because for collection agency, they actually managed to collect 25 to 50% of the recoverable debt as their commission. And that's so much higher than just 8 to 10%. And this honestly at some point really made me reconsider if I want to continue with a property management company. And again, in my city, it's very, very tenant friendly. A lot of tenant protection rules against the landlords. So even for collection, we had to wait for 14 days. We have to let the tenants know about non-payment rent and we have to give them 14 days. We have to add additional 5 days on the filing time. And then even that, waiting for court date will take easily 2 to 3 months. During the COVID time, you even stretch over to 10 to 12 months. And there was one professional tenant looking at us and say, listen, what are you going to do? And at that moment, as a property manager, I'm thinking I don't necessarily want to be dealing with you for next 5, 6, maybe even 12 months until the eviction with you if I know that I'm not going to collect anything from you, therefore it affects my pay. I'm not getting compensated enough to be dealing with someone like you. So those are the moments where I really question whether or not this is the right business for me. And speaking of a professional tenant, number 4 is that you're never off. It doesn't matter what kind of a tenant profile you're dealing with, you're never off. Phone doesn't stop ringing on Saturday or Sunday. Okay, if tenant has a request or emergency, you're going to be the point of contact. We're always the point of contact whenever there's any issues, even if it's nothing to do with rental properties. It's just 2 tenants fighting, arguing. Okay, they reach out to us, they say, hey, you need to do something about the other guy.
Stop fighting!
That's the time where I'm just like, why am I always in everybody's business? And unfortunately, property management industry is dealing with people's issue all the time. And one thing that I really had to consider is that if I'm the fatigue point, if I'm the breaking point of the business, meaning that I just don't have the mental capacity for my family or to maintain my portfolio, can I actually grow? It's really hard to focus on growing when you're just constantly maintaining and not really making additional income. So those are the stuff that you definitely need to consider, because I went through the whole process. I had to set up a right system, which is something that we're going to talk about in the second half of this video. But those are the things that you definitely need to keep in mind that might be the driver of why you're kind of feeling fatigue at the current moment. The 5th pain point, when I was expanding my team, I realized that onboarding more properties typically means that you're onboarding more problems. Okay, which means you need to increase the headcount, more property manager, more technicians, and you increase the payrolls. Just because there's more door counts, it doesn't mean that there's more margin. And the last thing to keep in mind is that more employees means that you got one more person's feelings or relationship that you need to manage. So a lot of property management owners, without the proper infrastructure and the team members, I noticed that they just end up stepping back into the operation all the time. You hire more to free up your time, but you end up having to step back in when someone gets burned out. Okay, so even though I just complain a bunch, let me tell you why I still end up sticking to this business. There's also come with a lot of pros. Everything I talk about just now forced me to build something, build a system in place, build an SOP, and have that written in the agreement, set up a right expectation with the tenants and landlords so that I can stop dealing with the nonsense. If you think about it, everybody who thinks that we're not doing anything, I made sure they understand that in the rental owner statement. So I learned that in order to turn a negative experience into a positive experience, we always have to show people exactly what we're doing. A lot of times we feel like that's one extra step, but I made sure that our team always kind of outline exactly what we've done. So I can easily shift the conversation from, hey, why am I paying for, into we've done everything we could, and here are the extra stuff that we're still gonna do for you. And the second, which is the middleman, we're constantly getting blamed for people's action, not really our fault. We make sure that we started having lots of vendors in one category, each of the categories, so that we're not running out of options. And that turned out to be pretty decent as well. Chasing for money part, and at some point we developed a system where regardless of what we're doing, even if there's a no rent coming in, the work's still gonna be there, we're still gonna be charged a base fee. That kind of bitter feelings about not being able to collect money and not knowing that when our next income is gonna be. And for the situation where we're never off, guess what? You can also put a system in place, and we started having people on rotation, and also like the phone calls and what's categorized as the emergency repair. Anything non-urgent, we're not touching during the weekend or even like in the evening. We just have to train the tenants and landlords to know that sometimes things can wait. Okay, and this is a reinforcement process over and over again to be able to get to a point where we're able to scale without having the fear of that there's going to be more problem coming back to us. And the last thing is that scaling the headcount, we end up using virtual assistant team to replace our local team. So we started using AI automations and all that stuff to handle a lot of the work that really shouldn't be done by human being. All the data transfer, billing, you know, the very initial diagnosis with the tenant requests and all that stuff. So knowing how to use AI agents right now is really allowing us to avoid the burnout point and really create that buffer for our team members. So there's a solution to almost everything. But the good thing about this property management business is that, so as I was scaling the PM business, nobody that told me is that the passive income comes after. It's not a starting point, it's a finish line. And you establish a structure to handle your current capacity. You can actually take a step back. Property management business is to turn an active business, real estate rental in general, into a very passive things for you. Now you have a system, and then you're the one who's managing the system and not the relationships. And if you really think about it, most of what I complain about really wasn't about the business or the property management. It was about the repetitive task, and that can all be solved. And also keep in mind, once you quit, get rid of the bad, you also get rid of the good. The good can also be the off-market deals, the relationship that you're building with other investors that you normally get to connect with, and even the infrastructure that you build for your own rental properties. All these team members that can manage your properties completely for free. This is why I continue operating the business, because when I look at the full picture, property management is such an essential piece in my portfolio that I just cannot get rid of. Otherwise, I still need to get a full-time job, maintain my lifestyle, and I'm basically back to the rat race with a 9 to 5 all over again. If you feel like you can resonate with some of the pain points I mentioned in this video, and maybe comment below on the pain points that you're currently going through. And if you also want to know what the AI agents can do for your business, give this video a watch.